if you work with recruiters like us, tell us what's important for you so we can kind of help you to match.
What is one tool or habit that you rely on as a founder that you cannot live without? Hey everybody, this is Harshit and welcome to the Just Paid podcast. And in this podcast, we have a very special guest with us, and her name is April Chang. And she is actually one of the top persons to learn from anything about recruiting in tech. So we brought April into this podcast to give you these amazing insights into the future of recruiting and the future of AI in recruiting as well. So, April, why don't you get started? Give us some info about you, and then we can dive deep.
Okay, so I'm April. Thank you so much. So, my background is engineering. So, most of my career is in engineering. I started as an engineer. I was former VP of engineering at multiple startups, and I ran the payments team at PayPal. And the reason I started the company is to build a great organization. You start with hiring the best people. Product does not build by itself. Company doesn't succeed without people. So you have to hire the best to be the best company, the best organization. So the journey started with at my last company when we raised Series B, uh, hiring a ton of engineer is the company's number one OKR because we need to build a whole bunch of stuff from mobile payments, AI, analytics, a lot of things. So, and as a VP of engineering, we already have a recruiter, but it literally took 2 months for me to hire one person. Obviously, we have a high bar, and even though we have a lot of candidates, they just don't meet our bar. So I literally become a recruiter by talking to all my CTO friends that who is the best recruiters you know. So I just start with working with recruiter 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I end up working with 50 contingency recruiters in parallel. And we got to the point that we have at least 10 interviews a day. So after a few months, we did hire more than 20 engineers after a few months. And that experience so painful, I thought like, why isn't there a service allow me to have access to this massive network of candidates from all these recruiters as a single stop shop? That's why I started a company to solve my own problem.
I think that's a cool insight, right? Because you were, a VP of engineering at Eventbrite, and from that you transition into, building your own, recruiting firm. So, can you tell us about the journey here with Y Combinator? So, what was your thought process when you were applying for Y Combinator and getting into Y Combinator, and then leading this entire startup?
Oh, that's easy because I remember when I was at Eventbrite, Y Combinator has this YouTube videos and something like how to start a startup. And it's phenomenal, right? Like every single segment. So we were all watching it. And I always want to start my own company because I grew up in Taiwan. My parents were entrepreneur, they have their own company. So I always want to start a company, but I did not want to but I grew up with feel like I have no parents because my dad was always traveling around the world. My mom was running a business, so we have a nanny. And I just didn't want that for my kids. So I waited until my kids are older. And then as soon as I got this idea, like, hey, this is a real problem. Everyone need to hire. Every single company need to hire. And then everyone almost always look for a job. So if I want to make an impact in the world, what's better than recruiting to help every single company to have a better talent and help every person to have more fulfilled career. So I thought it's a perfect idea. Now with Y Combinator's help, as a first time founder, it will allow me to kind of short circuit the learning to start a company. So Y Combinator has been a fantastic experience. Um, Not just the actual couple months goes to Y Combinator. I think the biggest benefit of part of Y Combinator is this large network or founders, like-minded founders that you can talk to and share ideas and brainstorm things. So I'm also helping with San Francisco area South Bay Founders Dinner every month, and then
That's
we
cool.
just
Okay.
yeah, so we just talk about everything. And right now it's really AI, 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 AI. Like
Yeah.
literally every dinner, everyone is talking about how overwhelming AI is evolving on all the areas.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I think definitely it's also a buzzword and it's also the future. So everyone's eyes are on AI, right? Everyone just wants to know how you can use all these tools, just to incorporate all these tools and make life easier. What was the most surprising challenge that you actually faced transitioning from a tech leadership role to being a founder?
The biggest challenge is as a founder, before I started the company, I already work at multiple startups in advised startups from like C stage, Series A, Series B. I coach founders and CTOs, and I work at different size companies, and even like even though I have never been a founder, at my last company, I managed probably 80% of the company. I ran engineering, I ran product design, customer success, HR people. Is the only team I did not manage was sales. So I thought I knew everything about running a company, but oh my gosh, after you actually run the company, the biggest challenge is I have no one to delegate to. Everything stopped here, right? Like even with, oh, we didn't do the right thing on the tax. Oh, the contract, the customer didn't like this, you need to modify the contract. It's just all these little things, trying to find someone from Upwork, the person just ghosted you. It's every day there's new challenges, or um, customer get upset for something that nothing to do with us. Candidate that doesn't show up to interview. It's like, okay, I have no control over them, but they still get upset with us. So it's I literally didn't take any vacation for the first few years. I work every single day because if you take a vacation, who is going to take care of this upset customers? So I think that's the biggest thing is I even when I was working at PayPal, I ran a team with a few hundred people. I still take like 1 or 2 weeks vacations because there's people, directors who can take care of things for you. But as a founder, it never stop. There's a lot of things that other people love to do, but the things other people don't want to do or they don't do it well, it's all here.
Understood. I think that's definitely a journey, right? Because I was also an ex-founder. I've actually founded my own startup, and it was acquired by a private equity firm. I could actually definitely relate to a lot of things because you have certain set of ideas in your mind that how a company would function, and when you step in, there are so many different challenges, so many different things, right? And then hiring again. Hiring is the most critical thing here. So now, in the age of AI, right, there's also this concept of AI agents where you can just delegate tasks to all your AI agents. So, April, how do you think this is actually going to impact the hiring situation all around the world, right? Because let's say I want a transcriber. I can just have a Super Whisper app downloaded in my phone, and then it's going to transcribe everything for me. I can just build a simple API which is going to just write emails for me, and that task is now completed with AI agent. So what happens when you're coming into hiring? If you don't, is it always important to hire the right candidates, or can you just go build AI agents?
Yes. So it's yes and yes, right? Because it is today, okay, uh, AI agents still need some direction. So I do think the skill, I don't think AI is going to replace recruiter or any other job. It's more, uh, it's going to replace the people who don't use AI because AI can do so many things that human used to have to do. And for me, the AI is going to find and look for information faster than any human can do, right? Like if you look at deep research, you just boom, 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 you see they are like looking at like 20 websites in a minute, right? No human can do that, right? So AI definitely is going to do a much better job and can search for information, understand the information and summarize information. They will so, but if you just tell AI to do something, like the single prompt, uh, it's going to base on what you know. It may not do what you want. So you still need a human to give direction to AI. Like coding, for example, you can literally one shot build a whole app, right? But if you don't give it any direction, it's going to make a lot of assumptions that's different from you. So, and the person, the human knows how to tell AI what to do and validate what AI generate. It makes sense. It's going to be a lot more productive than AI by itself. AI agents make assumptions that's different from you, or human don't trust AI to do anything and then try to read those 20 websites manually. It's just going to be too slow compared to a human who knows how to use AI well.
Correct, correct. I think all interns will eventually just, be owning their apps, and all the developers would just become product managers now.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, English is the coding language. However, I actually have a different opinion. I feel like actually you may not even need product manager anymore. And the reason is, what does product manager do? What product manager do is translate customer problems to engineering requirements, writing the PRD, product requirement document. So if an engineer can actually understand what customer want, or the founder or the salespeople, marketing people can understand customer want, and Claude is pretty good. Literally, you can just talk. You can talk to AI, say, okay, this is the customer problem, and write a PRD to summarize how we solve this problem. AI can do a pretty good job. And between, I don't know, in sales or marketing or the founder and engineers, it can shortcut a lot of what product manager do today. And because product manager can do the initial prompt for AI generated code, but product manager may not have the technical depth to think about, is this code going to be maintainable? Are they reusing, are they like duplicating code, copy and paste everywhere? Or is this going to scale when my product now have 10 users, 100 users? What happened when you have like a million users to a billion users? This is not the core skill set of a product manager, but a senior engineer will think about how the code is going to evolve.
I think that's a don't you think it's like a big task for recruiters as well, because now recruiters have to, even they have to understand, what AI is, because um and I think there's one issue here, because recruiters, do you think most recruiters are still looking at degrees, and degrees right now are really not translating a person's skill set? What are your thoughts? Yeah.
Okay, so this actually went viral, a Reddit post about
Okay.
a recruiter accidentally sent kind of internal recruiter notes on what they are looking for instead of the job to a candidate. And then you see the
Oh,
first one literally is this set of school.
got it, got it, got it.
It's crazy. We recruit for many startups, lots of IC companies. Okay. And this is one of the biggest, most YC company look for the same thing, right? We want people who can code it in React, TypeScript, Postgres. The technical stack is very similar, and we want people have ownership. We want people who are self-starters. We want people who can move fast, iterate fast, blah, blah, blah. It's like 80% of the founder will say the same thing. But one thing is different is school. They are really two camp of founders. One is like literally one of the fastest growing company, the founder literally said, I only want 4 schools. Just 4. He went to Harvard, so he won Harvard, MIT, Stanford, Berkeley. That's it. No one else. No one else is good enough, right? So, and then the list I gave you, you will notice Harvard is not in there, right? So it's like everyone depends on where they go to, have different biases. Like, oh, like some founders say, went to MIT, say, oh, Caltech is not good enough. I only want MIT. So, but as you know, uh, it's I have managing engineers for like 20 years. I have put multiple people on PIP performance improvement review from most schools, right? You went to law school doesn't mean you are the best engineers. There's a lot of factors, and coding is getting easier and easier. Do you need an IQ 200 to code? Probably not. To be a good engineer, there's a lot of factors, but there's also a set of founders like I don't really care, right? And they do coding tests. If the person can prove me they can code, that's all I care about. As a recruiting, when you ask, it's the problem is human is not very logical, and then it, it, it depends like whose perspective. If you are looking from the hiring manager's perspective, all the hiring manager has certain bias or maybe preferences.
Correct.
And AI can either amplify it or avoid it. So there's this famous study that they put like two resumes, okay, with two group, right? And it's actually exactly the same resume. The only difference is the name, right? And one maybe Bob Smith, like clearly white, right? And the other one is right, right. And then it's like so many more people say this is good, right? So it's just a human bias. And can you tell AI say ignore the name, right? You can probably tell AI and then you can reduce the bias that way. But on the other hand, that uh human is not very logical. Like I said, like most companies, most YC startup, the job description typically look at 80-90% the same. Right? But you can have two founders look at have practically the same job description, look at the same resume, and one say yes, one say no.
Correct. Correct.
Right. So it's just not as subjective. So how do you train AI to do it for you? It's hard because human is not that objective. And then what's worse is human is so emotional. They forget about founder, two hiring manager looking at the same resume for the same job. Even the same hiring manager looking for the same job, looking at two practically the same resume. This week say yes, next week say no.
Hmm.
Why?
Hmm.
You know, they say yes or no based on they may have a good day, they may have a bad. May just go to a board meeting board say, how come you haven't hired this person yet? It has been 2 months. At that point, like anyone look good enough is good enough. Or maybe you sign a new customer, the new customer say, I want mobile, mobile, mobile. And all of a sudden say, oh no, no, no. I used to say either React Native is fine, but now no, 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 no. Anyone with React Native is much better because now they got this high priority customers who wants mobile. Or maybe they just suffer a massive outage. And all of a sudden, like, oh, I don't care about React. That's not important. They have to have very deep infrastructure experience, can make sure our site stay up is fast. So even for the same company, the same hiring manager, the same job, depends on they they have good day, bad day, or what happened that day. They may say yes or no. So this is really, really hard for AI to figure out because human is not very consistent.
That's something I've just realized, right? Because there are human biases, and when I was doing my research on this, I just wanted to try out like a cool side project, which was an AI recruiter, just using 11 Labs API, and then there's an AI recruiter which just recruits. So
Why did
the most
that? You should have told me before the podcast. Okay.
yeah, yeah. It was called Zavata.ai. That was something I was just working on. And one very important question I was getting on Reddit was, I'd say two, right? First one is, why would I talk from the candidate side? Why would I want to talk to a soulless robot? The second one was about biases. They asked me, what is your training model? I said it's basically training model of any recruiter. That means you're not removing the biases, but you're amplifying the biases. That was
Yes.
one, right? That was one point that I got. So is there a way you think the biases can actually be eliminated instead of I mean, How can it even be done? Is it even possible to eliminate the biases completely?
Yeah. So my take is, okay, AI is moving so fast. Who knows? Even like a month, 6 months from now, what's going to happen? All I can say is today. Okay. So today, I think there are companies pretty successful using AI for screening and hiring more simple jobs, right? Like, for example, if you are hiring someone like a cashier in McDonald's, say, hey, you want a Big Mac or you want French fries, that type of interview. And also, it's very quick. It's not like like a hire engineer is like 10 hours interview type of thing. And yeah, AI can do a good job because it's 24 by 7. You can just answer questions, and it's pretty good at doing first interviews. And there's so many applicants fighting for the job. If you want a job, you have no choice. So for that type of positions, I can see it. But if there's a survey for engineers, like literally 80-90%, probably maybe more than 90% of engineers, they don't want AI interviewers because it's such a complex job that it's just too hard for AI to even know what's the right question to ask. And also, when you evaluate the candidates, there are two things you look for. At least, the two important things is this person qualified for the job. Is the technical match of the job. And the other one is the soft part, cultural fit, motivation. Is this
Yeah.
person like a founder type? That's really, really hard for AI to assess, the personality fit, the style fit, and especially for startup, that's super critical. Are you compatible? Like we all know in YC, that co-founder breakup is the biggest problem, can kill your company, right? So when you hire like founding team, is the chemistry right, and how does AI figure that out? But human recruiter, by definition, has high EQ, and that's what 10 by 10 do is all the candidates presented to our employers, have been vetted by very experienced startup recruiters to guess, are they going to be a good kind of soft cultural fit in addition to the technical fit. So regarding the technical fit, it's it's pretty crazy that you asked me about how AI is going to help recruiters. It's obviously going to help recruiters a lot because you can read so much information. You can go crawl and kind of research the person's GitHub, summarizing, Stack Overflow, conferences. You can read so much, right? Rather than and then with agent, you can literally click and read all those things for you and summarize for you. So obviously, it's going to be quicker. But the problem is, that's on the hiring manager side, but on the candidate side, AI also make it easier. And so now a candidate can literally like apply for all these jobs. They can do the same thing, right? They can find
Yeah.
all the jobs and apply. So
Yes.
all the
Yes.
hiring
Yes. Yes.
manager is complaining about, I post a job, I got hundreds, and
Correct.
99% of them is trash, and,
Correct.
and
Correct.
most of them are even fake because it's
Correct.
so easy to
To fake
generate
now.
fake profile, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, so
Yes.
so even if it's real, even it's not fake, it's also getting very hard because used to be creating a resume take a long time, right? Like before AI, you spend hours trying to make your resume perfect, right? And for example, you are a full stack engineer, right? And your resume will say what you do, front end, back end, you are a full stack engineer. But now with AI, if you see a job is like front end leaning full stack, or maybe it's a maybe it's a front end engineer job at a company you dream about, you are going to have AI to tailor your resume and then to match, like look like you are more front end than what you actually are, right? In the past, it's one size fits all, the same resume you send it to everybody. But now it's pretty easy to tailor this job on this. Let me emphasize that. This job on that. Let me emphasize that. So it's harder even for hiring manager to truly believe, is this person really, really a front end leaning full stack or back end leaning? Because it's pretty easy just to customize the resume for what you are looking for now.
Correct,
So
correct.
now it's like it's easier to find people, but it's also easier for candidate to
Yes.
make. So it's
Yes,
like
yes,
these
yes.
two AI is fighting with each other, like who can progress faster.
And I mean, this is the situation that I have in my head. I'm pretty sure 10 years down the line, the way it's going to be is, let's say you're a recruiter and
Yeah.
I am the candidate. And I'm just going to send my AI clone to give interviews to all the companies. And you, as an interviewer, you'll send all the clones to all the companies.
Yeah. So basically, that's why I said I don't know because the agents are still kind of clunky, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
maybe there's no resume anymore, right? It's literally I have a candidate agent, right? And the employer have their own agent, and this agent just talk to each other, and I don't have to create a resume because it's you got so much data about me and there's so much data about the company, and then only if it's good fit, then we can introduce. I don't know. So definitely, the agent to agent API is coming. It's really, I think it's not just recruiting, right? I think
Hmm,
the
yes, yes.
industry it's going to change, right? Like
Yes.
when the first time I saw like, wow, we got customer from Perplexity rather than Google search, like what does this mean for SEO, right? That or do we even like do we even do interviews if we can easily find so much information about people and their jobs? So it's just hard to know because the AI capability is changing so fast these days. Yeah.
Correct, correct. I think that's going to be, a super cool situation to see how this is going to work out.
Yeah.
But there's a fun one that I want to share with you. It's a meme. It's a meme. All right. I'm just gonna share with you this meme, and I really want to know what do you think of this. It's a meme about IQ. So the lowest IQ guy says you can just do things. The mid IQ guy says no, you got to go to tier one university, get mentors, join YC, raise from a tier one venture firm, and then there's another one who says you can just do things. So in this era where AI is advancing so much, how do candidates even play this out, right? I mean, there are people with ambition. Let's say there are a lot of people with ambition who might have not gone to a tier one university, or maybe they just don't stay in the United States, or maybe they don't even stay in SF, or it could be anything like visa situation, anything for them in this entire remote environment. What do you think? Can they just do things with AI, or do they need some kind of pedigree?
Yeah, finding a job, I think it is okay. So since we are YC, let's talk about YC companies. So I think there's a very, 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 very strong trend within YC companies that want people to go into office. Uh, and I think it's not just YC. I think even big companies want people to come in office because, uh, and especially international remote. So because remote is and there's like no shy if the product is like a physical hardware product, you just have to be in the office. But software is like okay, maybe you can do it um remotely. And I'm actually on the camp that remote is great because you can find the best of best talent in the world, right? The best people. You want to work from the moon, go work in the moon. I don't care, right? Like as long as you can code, because code is like I can see the code. I can see the code you write. I don't care if it's written by AI or you, as long as the code is good and you're fast, I'm happy. Right? So code is easy, but there's a lot of work, like when you are in brainstorming stage, where you are trying to you change 20 times a day, remote is difficult. And then that add on top of the cultural difference, it's crazy hard. I have managed probably through my career over 1,000 people directly and indirectly. And I have managed people from I don't know how many countries. So I saw I'm an expert in managing remote people international. And even me, I just got an experience that a remote person I love quit after 1 week. It's
Okay. Oh, okay.
I was shocked. I literally
Okay.
was shocked. It never happened to me before. My team always had very low attrition. I never get surprised with people. You can see the signals
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and then
Correct.
you can discussion, right?
Correct.
But
Correct.
this is like literally she started just literally 1 week,
Okay.
1 week,
Okay.
and then everything I gave her, she did, right? And so because she did, I just give her more, and she did, I gave her more. She did, gave her more. I was really happy. And then I and then because of the cultural difference, she just never speak up. She thought she was failing, and she thought she was overwhelmed. So I because it's remote, right? Like I don't see her every day. I did not pick up the subtle cue between remote and cultural difference. What happened is I gave her something, right? And I know she did it for the first time, so she only did this. But from my perspective, this is great for the first shot. And then I gave her feedback, said, "You missed this. Can you add that?" And she add that, right? I said, "Okay, great. Can you add this?" And I literally went through like a 3, 4 iterations before I say it's good, right? So, but from my perspective, it's great. I don't expect you to do everything the first. From her, she felt I failed. You want that? I give that, and then you have to tell me 3, 4 times. And I just didn't pick up the cue. So remote and international difference is diff- making things difficult.
Absolutely. I think that's true because, um, you know, from what I've seen is there are low trust societies around the world, right? And in low trust societies, what happens is you don't really, I think trust is a two side thing. And when there's low trust, you feel, okay, I don't know that person. Even if I quit, who's gonna know? Like, what are they gonna do, right? Maybe that's a definitely a wrong mindset, and it's important to play the long term game in anything, right? I think. What do you think about long term games? As a founder, of course, like long term connections, long term relationships with people, long term, even podcasts, all the knowledge that you're sharing, it's all a long term game, right? So, do you think it's going to have like a positive effect on your firm and as a founder? Do you think that's something that you're conscious about, trying to put out to the world? What do you think?
I definitely think it's it's a long term thing, right? Like relationship and reputation is everything. Like practically all our customers are inbound referrals, repeat customers. Because if you and we love to recruit for um like usually your first hire, your first team, because we have many customers. Like for instance, we place the founding CTO, very likely, when they raise Series A, they are going to come back to us, and when they raise Series B, they are going to come back to us. So definitely a long-term relationship is how you grow the company, especially like recruiting is very much trust-based because customer will only trust us if we have their best interest in mind. So definitely the long game. Also, reputation is very hard to build, and it take a lot to build your reputation, and it only take one tiny mistakes to people to write you off. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super important to consider as well. And just wanted to dive into hiring managers, right? Like hiring managers. So, hiring managers are the ones who recruit, but who recruits the hiring managers? So, what's the process there? Like, how does that happen? You talked about cues, right? So, are there any subtle cues that you see in a hiring manager? Because the hiring manager has to be really good with understanding people, human behavior, and just a lot of things, right? So how does that happen? How does recruiting of the hiring manager work?
And that's why recruiting is so difficult because the hiring manager, they are not professional hiring managers, right? They typically is they are two type hiring manager technically is the person who is going to manage the person they hire. But for most companies, um, the person actually kind of put together the process. It can be anybody. It could be the founder. It could be the hiring manager. It could be the CTO. It could be the um, uh, it could be a head of people, it could be recruiter who kind of put together the hiring process. But the one question you asked is very insightful. Is most of the time candidate are interviewed by someone who is not a professional interviewer.
Okay, okay.
And right, because the only professional interviewer are recruiters
Hmm,
whose
hmm.
job is to interview people.
Correct.
And it make it so hard is the same as candidate. The candidate, say you want to hire an engineer, they are not professional interviewee either. They are a professional developer. So it make both sides is amateurs trying to figure out is a match. So that's why it's the margin of error is extremely high. Even the best hiring manager, like recruiters and me who have interviewed so many people, we still make hiring mistakes. It's incredibly hard. And then the other thing, the example I gave you is people are very emotional. People have a lot of biases. Even though you are a professional interviewer, you still have biases or preferences. Just using me as an example, okay? So I'm a very experienced CTO, VPE, right? So hypothetically, I'm looking for a job, right? And you are a founder want to hire a VP. So it could be a positive bias. So you say, wow, April, you I don't see a lot of women, as a VP of engineering at reputable company, at both big company, small company, and YC founder. How many YC founder you see is woman, is Asian, and doesn't
Yeah.
speak good English. You must be really good to be the
Correct,
highest.
correct.
So that could be
Hmm,
the positive
hmm,
uh, bias, but it could also be negative bias, like, hmm, her English is not that good.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then, she's probably not AI native or even social native. Is she going to be a good fit for my
Mm-hmm.
company? Right? Like, so she didn't go to Harvard or
Correct,
MIT.
correct, correct,
Is she
correct.
going to be,
Yeah, yeah,
like, good
yeah,
fit,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it could be both. It could be both ways, right? So,
Correct, correct.
and that's why the and also I wrote a LinkedIn post about this. We have recruited for so many YC founders now, and what um, we see patterns. We know what's normal. Like if you get X first interview, like certain percentage you progress to the next interview, and certain percentage you get to the next interview, and it should be very very small percentage of a candidate after the first interview say, hey, I don't care, they give me the second interview, I don't want to go anymore, right? They don't have a good experience. Like most of the time candidate after interview, they are more interested in the company, but there are some companies after the interview they are less interested in the company, and some even like when we see a pattern, candidate drop out after the interview, we will dig into that. What the heck is going on, right? And one of the common patterns that people are not interested is literally some people, they are not professional interview. They just like, they look at a list, right?
Yeah,
Um, have you done A? Have you done B? Have you done C?
correct.
And literally try to like ask 15 questions back to back, right? And the candidate, it's a very frustrating experience. Candidate is like, those are very basic questions. I didn't even get a chance to say why I'm a good fit, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
then 15 minutes go by, like they feel like those are like, it doesn't represent who am you didn't ask who I am, and you also doesn't tell me why I should work there, right? So the candidate will just drop out. They are not interested anymore. So it's definitely, and I think good companies. We have recruited for a company from like C series, A series. The company gets to unicorn very fast. They like literally there will be companies that when candidate get rejected, they are so disappointed. That's what you want, because every candidate is you talk about your reputation and long term. It's that even though you think like the candidate you reject they are going to tell their friends, especially they work at good companies, and it does damage your brand and your reputation. And what's worse, they may even go to Glassdoor and complain about
Yeah.
the due process.
Correct. 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 And yeah, I think this and the next question that I'm gonna ask you is a little controversial. I saw it Reddit. So what happens is in the recruiting process there are assignments, right? There are assignments, and
Oh,
this
those are
happened like
assignments.
yes, yes, yes. So this happened a lot in Web3 when I was just scrolling through Twitter. So someone they gave their entire assignment. It was a complete marketing funnel, and the other one wrote a complete coding. They built a whole coding thing, and that was a part of their assignment. And they weren't hired after that, but the company just used that assignment internally.
Oh,
So
that's not ethical. So okay,
yes,
so they are okay. You obviously know recruiting, which is great, right? So this is actually extremely tricky. So ideally, what we recommend to company is um you either use an assignment you are not going to use, right? Because otherwise you are getting like free labor out of people. It doesn't feel good, right? And then or you pay them. Right. So this assignment, like it's X dollars, however you feel is fair, and then say, hey, we might use whatever you come up with. So that's my personal recommendation. I know people have different philosophy, but also like sometimes company will use project they have already done, right? Because they want to see what other people would do, and candidate will feel like, hey, they use what I did, but in reality, is the company has already done that. So that's a little bit more tricky. So I think depends on your budget and the scope. You can either do either of those approach is safer.
got it, got it. And I just wanted to hear some success stories from you, right? From 10 by 10. Can you share like a success story from your like a testimonial or a client that literally loved your services? Like what was the process like? Would love to hear from you. Yeah.
Wow, there's so many. Okay. So that's gosh, I can talk about this for an hour. So let me talk about how my company work. Okay. So the reason I name my company 10 by 10 is what's the point to do a recruiting service the same as everyone else, right? So that's a pretty low bar. We want to be 10 times better and 10 times faster than everyone else. So how are we 10 times faster? How fast can we be? So a YC company, super older, they have been trying to recruit engineers for a while. The CTO is IVD, very high bar. And when they heard about us, when they came to us, literally once we talked to them, we gave them 10 engineers in 24 hours. And I can challenge you, no one can do that. I mean, the 24 hours recruiter barely reach out to candidate in traditional model, barely get 10 responses. We are talking about 10 interested and qualified, and to the degree the CTO was like, wow, we have using all these recruiting services, and this literally is top 2%, the best of the best people we have seen. Most of them have FANG and startup experience, went to good school of bias, but that's kind of the traditional benchmark of good pedigree of school and companies. So we gave them 10 candidates every day, 10 days straight to the point. They said, stop. You give us too many candidates, and they got 5, 6 offers out of it. So that's how fast we are and quality. And how do we do that? What's our secret sauce? How do we get like 10 candidates the next day? So the secret sauce is under the cover. I told you that I feel what I wish I had when I was VP
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
AML. So
Yeah.
under the cover, we are a platform with a network of many hundreds of the best experienced startup recruiters. And those recruiters, they are talking to candidates every day, right? Every recruiter is talking to 10, 20 candidates a day. So they always know someone who may be a good match. So we aggregate the network from all these recruiters, and our AI trained by me and also all the experience helping hundreds of startups. And so we rank and pick out the best match for you. So we can provide both the speed and the quality. So the company will literally interview most of our candidates. And getting the candidates at the top of the funnel is just the beginning. So, for example, another YC company, Nurex, when they were growing, we helped them hire 7 engineers in 7 weeks. To the point, again, initially they said we need to hire 10 engineers, and they were thinking about 6 months. After they hire seven, like, no, we need to onboard the seven, slow down. So that's how fast and how good we are compared to our competitors. And there's many more. There's more on our website, and happy to send you more testimonials.
Got it. Got it. And just wanted to understand, like, now we're in the last part of the segment of the interview and the podcast. So just wanted to hear from you a couple of other things. So it was basically in yeah, I just prepared a set of questions here. Yes. So for your time leading like engineering teams, what's actually the best hiring mistake that you see companies actually make repeatedly? Are there any mistakes that a lot of companies make all the time?
So the number one hiring mistakes, I think, for if we kind of want to talk about startups, okay, I think it's I may be biased. I think for the company they are um looking for school. I think school is really not a good indicator of how good the person is. It could be like one of the many factors, but I don't see a very strong correlation between school and success. Then the other one is the interview process is not designed to mirror what they are going to do day to day. So and a lot of times you kind of see that, but some of the hiring manager they kind of say, hey, that's what we always do it. That's how we want to run our interview process.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we kind of just see they hire the person and then it just struggle because for example, there's a lot of companies, they are building something relatively straightforward. For example, there's a lot of product can be built with with AI, with front end, and just CRUD, right? Literally, you just have something in the database, and you just need to see it and edit that, right? It's not rocket science, and a lot of engineers can build it. So you should be interview people, understand your business, have a high business IQ, they can translate business requirement to product. But instead, some company they would do like a very complex coding algorithm, and then uh and so you end up hiring people they just spend a lot of time practice coding rather than doing what you actually need. So it's really thinking through what you really need and what success look like and design your interview process to mirror that.
Yeah, one last piece of advice from your end for candidates. Any piece of advice that you got for candidates in the age of AI, because there's so much to do, like so much to learn. How do they apply? Where do they apply? Yeah.
You spend a lot of time at work, okay, and finding a good company that's a good match, it really increase your happiness. So thinking first of before you even look for a job, really think through what's important for you. Literally like stack rank. Everyone say, hey, I want better opportunity. I want growth opportunity. What the heck does that mean? Get clarity in your head. It could mean you need more money because, San Francisco area, the house is so expensive. You just need a lot of money. And you are say your kids are going to private school. So cash is important. Maybe, no judgment. Everyone's different. Maybe you say, I'm young, engineers make so much money. I can live comfortably. But what's more important for me is learning, and expand my skill set, right? And maybe another person, maybe have a new baby, you want flexibility, that you will take a job that's closer to home rather than an hour commute, even if you pay 20,000 less. I'm making this up, right? really stack rank what personally is important for you. Start with that. And and then if you work with recruiters like us, tell us what's important for you so we can kind of help you to match what's the company that's most compatible for what's important for you. And then also try to it it's even though company is interviewing candidate you are interviewing the company at the same time to kind of match what's important for you. So one of the common trade-off between big company and small company, my personal advice for the people I mentor and coach is it's actually good to alternate between big company and small companies if you enjoy both culture and you can thrive in both. Because some people are just big company people, and some people are startup people. They will be miserable. They go to a big company. But if you are like me, can like happy in both environment, go alternate because big company have a inertia. Big company have a set way of doing things. When I ran team and PayPal, we want to do something new, and to build that, it usually take 2-3 weeks, not a long time. That's a startup can build that, but it take months and months and months and months forever to make sure you work with like hundreds of the existing legacy product, right? So you just cannot innovate fast because you got existing customers kind of holding you back with all the existing limitations. But big company has a huge benefit of you have the scale, you have the complexity, you have real customer usage. So you learn a lot. Um, how to build bulletproof product, how to satisfy all different use cases. You just learn a lot, and then you have so many people are expert in any area that you can learn the best of the best from the best front end engineer, back end engineer. They have in a company, right? So you get mentorship, you got the scale, you got the difficulty, and then but they may not be using the latest AI,
Yeah.
the latest
Yeah.
technology, right?
Yeah.
So when you are a startup, a day is a long time. Like a
Yeah.
startup, it's rare that you don't build a new feature in a day. So then think about like after a year, I'm making this up. You are building 200, it close many hundreds of tickets in the startup, but in a big company is a much smaller number because once you write a code, you need to be reviewed, you need to be approved, and there's all these limitations. You're waiting for this team to do something, and the team need you to do something. And then you go to all these meetings that burn up like 30% of your time. So your time actually coding is much smaller ratio at big company. So it's good to alternate. So you get to learn from the startup on how to iterate fast, how to use the latest technology, and then you go to big company to kind of learn what successful, what scalable product is. And then when you go back to small company, you can take the learning to say, oh, that's what 2, 3 years, 5 years from now look like, and then me design it, not making the same mistakes that the other company make. So I think that's very good. But know yourself. Like I say, not everyone, the best engineers. That's another tip. Every time I go to a new company, I'll try to bring the best people to come with me to the new company, and uh, and they don't always pass the interviews. They don't always succeed, even though I know they are very, very good at their previous company. But that doesn't mean they'll be very, very good at the next company. So knowing your preference, your strengths is really important to have a successful and fulfilled career.
Got it. Got it. I think that's like solid advice that you've just given us. And everyone watching here, I think they're gonna get a ton of value from your end because it is the job market. Job market is getting tough. People really need to understand the core values of adding value to companies, right? One last quick question, a fun question. So what is one tool or habit that you rely on as a founder that you cannot live without? It could be a Chrome extension, an AI tool, or an habit. Anything that you do every single day rigorously, you need that for sure.
Just paper.
Okay,
So
okay,
yeah, and
okay.
the reason paper is I try a lot of things like Asana and just like to-do list, or the problem is just friction. Like I still have to click on it and then I have to scroll, but a piece of paper, literally you just write down, like it's and I just like if I do this one thing, my day is good. And then everything else, I just like write down on paper first, right? And then at the end of the day, I can translate to my to-do list. Ho- but during the day, it's just this. And it's fast, right? It's like I don't have to figure out where to click, uh, to open the app and to type. It's like just pick out the pen and I can write. So
Got it. I think, and this is super cool, right? I mean, in the age of AI transcriptions, it's super easy.
I
Even I
use
have
a ton
no.
of AI tool. Don't get me wrong, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like a voice to text,
yeah.
because it just saved me so much time rather than typing. And like obviously I use Perplexity for finding information. Everyone use Claude and ChatGPT. I use that. But at the end of the day, AI is a tool and depends on what you need. And the reason I use pen and paper is just speed. It's just faster than anything. Yeah.
I think this is an amazing podcast, April. I'm definitely going to look back at this podcast and gain a ton of value from this. I think it was cool, right? Thanks again for joining this podcast, giving us a ton of value about this entire industry. And yes, I think I'd say it was. It didn't even feel like It felt like I knew you for a long time, right? It felt like I've been working with you professionally at a company or something. So super amazing conversation. Love the energy. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to come back. Like, there's just to that people don't know how hard recruiting is, including myself. Okay, so as a startup, uh, you need to the most important thing is build good product, and then you can sell, right? But recruiting is literally the most difficult job at a company, because for sales, it's difficult, but recruiting is a the reason recruiting is so hard is a bi-directional sale. Like for instance, pen and paper, right? Like salesperson, when you want to sell pen and paper, pen and paper will not say no. I don't want to. You just have to convince one side. But recruiting is like dating. It's bi-directional. So it's very, very hard. And also because we kind of talk about human is emotional, human have bias, human is not consistent. And so one thing we did not touch on, which is very, very important for recruiting, is it's finding candidates just top the funnel. And a lot of founder really struggle at the end,
Hmm.
because YC founder want to hire the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
And the problem is the best of the best, they have options. So we are always fighting to actually get a candidate to take your offer for the best of the best. And that's why one thing I want to remind people is don't forget your candidate experience from the very beginning, because you don't want the candidate you love at the end to pick the other company because they think, I didn't feel respected by the interviewer. I feel like the interviewer show up late twice, and the interviewer reschedule my meeting. They don't feel like you treat them with respect. So, and then also, there's 101 reasons people pick another offer. And that's when really lean into expert recruiters like 10 by 10, or go talk to other people who have hired a ton of people. There's a lot of strategy on how to increase the offer acceptance rate much higher. Like that's probably my single biggest learning after starting my own recruiting company. Our offer acceptance rate tripled since we first started. So it takes a lot of effort to get to offer stage, and don't let it go. You want to do everything you could to get to the point. If at least half of your offer is accepted, you are doing okay. But if you can get to like 90%, we actually have one client. We have Sorolla Medical. We have hired over 10 people for them, and our offer acceptance rate is nearly 100%. So if you can get your offer to like 100%, you just reduce your recruiting effort by half, if not a lot more.
And understood, April. I think, and this was an amazing podcast, right? Genuinely appreciate you being on the podcast, and yeah, looking forward to more such amazing conversations like this. And yeah, see you again in the next one.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, take care.